The Outsiders, that book really captured, a good friend. He's on the board of Berkshire, Tom Murphy at CapCities ABC, who worked with the late Dan Burke, Steve Burke's father. Just an extraordinary team that's been well documented. And what's fascinating is, and I think CapCities, and then CapCities ABC and later Disney, but CapCities is a great example in the sense that the broadcast business historically was a very good business. Dominance, leadership, generated good cash flows. So the business was inherently a good business back in the 50s and 60s. Second, Tom Murphy and Dan Burke were an extraordinary team which leveraged each of their unique talents and gifts, and the sum of the parts exceeded individual parts. And so there you have an example of a very good business and an outstanding, if not phenomenal, management team maximizing that. Now, there's an example of an industry during their tenure, or the majority of their tenure, where even average management teams were generating very attractive returns because of the inherently good nature of the business. But even Tom Murphy, who's a very humble guy, very, very humble, I think he would admit he worked very hard. They knew the industry very, very well. They were very good on the cost side. They knew the business backwards and forwards. Any acquisition they did, they were great capital allocators. They knew what they did, enormous due diligence. They knew what they could do with television stations once they bought them. They cut out a lot of the costs. They reinvested where appropriately. They delegated and gave enormous responsibility to the local owners. They really knew how to do that model and did it repeatedly and consistently. But the point is, I think even Tom would admit that even a mediocre manager, maybe not even a mediocre manager or below that, could still do reasonably well because of the inherent underlying economics of the business. Now, as brilliant as Tom and Dan were, if you had put them in another business, a steel business, which was really, Bethlehem Steel or whatever, while they may have been the best in the industry, the underlying economics of the business were enormously difficult for them, and they faced enormous headwinds. So again, it's a combination of the inherent underlying economics of the business and the management team working within that business.